this is Laurie.
This is Peter.
And you need to scoot over just a touch. And I need to scoot over. Okay, that's it. Hi, this is Laurie.
This is Peter.
And we are with Action Heroes LA with another review. This one, kind of a throwback. Yeah, it's a throwback.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I got to get notes because I forgot. This came out, we're doing the review of the movie.
The First Man.
First Man. That's a movie that came out in, I think, 2018.
Was it?
I have zero notes. It's been a while, yet again.
I thought it was.
I had to go out of town.
Okay.
And then I had to go out of town again. I had to go out of town while I was out of town to go to a funeral for a family member.
Okay.
And then when I came back here, I had COVID. So that took me out for another week.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to do like our Halloween live stream this year.
No, we didn't.
No, which was always fun, but I had to catch a plane the next day, and then so I've been out of it. Anyway, so on a plane from going out of town and then to the funeral, I started watching this movie.
First
Man, and I was kind of like, oh wow, I can't wait to watch this at home. Mm-hmm. And so we did.
Yeah.
And thoughts? Should we say what it's about?
Well, it's about.
It is about
first man
to walk on the moon. It's about astronaut Neil Armstrong.
Yes.
And his journey to the moon, his life, his family. Mm-hmm. This movie is directed by Damien Chazelle, who is a director I really like. And actually, when this came out, I wanted to see it, but it got kind of, the reviews were kind of like, Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to see it. Maybe it'll be too boring or something. And I have to say, I regret not seeing it back then.
Yes, I was the same way.
Yeah.
I looked, I said, no.
Uh-huh.
Everything is kind of like,
I'm going to adjust something real quick. Go ahead. Yeah,
but I'm glad you suggested the movie.
Yeah.
You watched the movie. I found the movie very intriguing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think it delved in the eye of the camera.
Okay.
Was viewing from his personal feelings.
Okay.
And also at the same time looking at him, mm-hmm. showing all the things, both from inside and out, that he had to deal with as a person.
Okay.
Going through the training and people, other test pilots.
The whole
this.
thing. What was going on with the space race?
Right.
At the time.
Right. Yeah. But from Neil's.
From his perspective.
Right.
Yeah. I was very. This movie puts you in the capsule, in the vehicles, mm-hmm. in a way that I haven't seen any other space movie do.
Right.
There's something about the sound effects, just the way it's filmed. Mm-hmm. It just like it's the one movie that, after watching it, if anybody asked me if I would want to go into space and go into rocket and stuff,
nah, I'm not going.
Hell no. I mean, because now, like, as growing up as a kid and NASA in the space mm-hmm. program, I was fascinated with it. Yeah, I'd love to go to space, but yes. But I mean, and this is, they're placing you in the capsule back in the 60s, so
yes.
It was very space travel, the first space flights and the vehicles they were using and the technology. What the fuck were they thinking? They were crazy to do that.
No, it was pretty much, we think the air is thin up there. Okay, so give them a helmet, but just tie the bands really tight when we strap them onto the rockets.
It was so. I was very impressed with it doing it. Also portraying Neil Armstrong His family life I didn't know about.
Yes.
You know, everybody knows who Neil Armstrong is. At least our generation. You grow up, oh yeah, he's first man on the moon. You know,
that's right.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But you didn't really know his personality, you know his family backstory. You didn't know what he went through to get up to there. I didn't even know how the space race, the race with Russia, to get into, you know,
and
space flight was so. I didn't realize Russia was kicking our asses that bad.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, and I'm going. My experience with all of these things is usually through movies. I was a little too young to know.
Yeah,
I was around at the time.
Well,
but I was too young
I didn't
to pay
know that he
attention
had
to
a child that died.
Yeah, I didn't either. Which was,
I was like,
whoa.
And how did that affect him?
Yeah,
as a person.
And what type of person he was, what
Yeah.
type of personality he was really fascinating. And it plays into why he ends up being the first man on the moon.
Right.
And, just because he was whatever happened, he was able to keep his cool.
Yeah.
And not in a way like a fun kind of way, or like I'm a badass or something like that.
Yeah.
He was very kind of a meticulous, he was a very intellectual. He was an engineer. He had to thought process everything.
Right.
And
Well, one way I look at it, he had to deal with a child that died.
Right.
But he also had to deal with, he had to be an engineer, and he had to work out how these things were going to happen.
Yeah.
And they were on a timeline. So when you have a child that dies, there's somewhat of a timeline, but of course the death is not timed.
Okay.
So it just comes up. So
her treatment was a time.
Yeah.
So he's meticulously taking notes and trying to figure out how to,
save her.
Right.
And make everything right for her.
Yeah.
While also trying to get a rocket into space.
Well, he wasn't at NASA at that time. He was a test pilot, but he wasn't in the space program.
Right.
Well, according to this movie,
Right. But not really. It's weird. Not really being a part of NASA in its name, but being a part of everything that leads you to that.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't in the astronaut program.
Right.
Yeah. So, it was. I really love this movie, and I have to say, the movie "The Right Stuff" is one of my all-time favorite movies. And while I want to call this kind of a spiritual sequel to that, it gave me one thing about The Right Stuff. Now when I watch it, it's like, I see the flying scenes. You can see it's a model. It's like, I wonder how they would film that today. And this movie is like, here's how we would film this today.
Yeah. Remember those sleek models we did? Yeah, when we sent them up there, it was a piece of junk.
Oh, what?
The ship that I just really love.
Oh, you mentioned the X-15.
The X-15?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great on the outside. Even the models you would buy or I would buy and put them together. Oh, it's this great ship. Yeah, you get film from inside the cockpit. You're just going to go. No, it goes to
it wasn't so smooth. I wonder if this is delayed. This looks delayed again, but we'll continue on. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. It's another thing, and I've talked about occasionally, very nuanced, subtle movie. It shows you rather than tells you. Yes. Really a great job in quietly telling this story by visually you see different things and you have to put it together what's going on. But it's not hard to follow in that way, but I love how it did that. It's a very quiet movie, and The Right Stuff had its amusing moments. It had its dramatic, it had its comic, it had a great cast that had camaraderie, and I mean this one does too. But this is it's a completely different way, a completely different movie at the same time.
I understand why it didn't get great reviews.
Yeah,
and people didn't go see it.
It does, yeah.
Because that's not the type of movie this was.
Right.
This was like, yeah, when this happened, when these things happened, this was what really happened to him.
Yeah. It's a more serious take on this stuff. Like you can watch a movie like Hidden Figures and stuff, which I love. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the right stuff. There's like an entertainment level to that.
Exactly.
There's the scenes that are written to be crowd pleasing and designed to be kind of a crowd pleasing to get the audience on your side. It's like, not necessarily true happened. I felt this movie was more interested in telling exactly what truly happened.
Yes.
But in a way that I won't say that wasn't entertaining, wasn't boring. It was very interesting all the way through, very intriguing.
But the thing is, you had to go into it looking for this, and this is the place it's going to take me. It's not going to take you to the moon and back. It's not going to give you the glitz and the glamour.
Exactly. It doesn't do that.
Yeah,
it's like it gives you the rattling bucket of bolts on a flaming bomb. Those things were, and I really like that. It wanted to give you a sense of realism, like this. I want people to experience what the astronauts going up, what it was like, to imagine that, and what it was like for the family members to deal with, their husbands going up into space, and when stuff goes wrong, and them turning off the radio signal that his wife is listening to when the capsule's having a problem, and I love this movie. I have to say, I really did.
You really have to realize that everything pretty much in America was like, well, your father's an electrician, and if he wanted a certain diode or a switch or something like that, he'd go down and drive I don't know how long to electronic place and buy these switches and stuff like that. Well, guess what? That's the same. That's the same
stuff
place
they were using in these things.
Yeah. And it's like, well, this is what we got. Okay, we'll put that on there. And
Well, that's the technology at the time.
Yes.
So anyway, this was a really good movie. Really, it was funny. Asked Hamilton about it. He saw it in the theaters, and he had no recollection of it. It didn't make any impression on him. Then he told me, well, I kind of saw it in this like 4D theater where they shake the seats and they spray like water at you, and they have certain scents and stuff. They're trying to. I was like, this, even though it seems like that would be a good idea with some of the scenes in the movie to have,
I can't see
but it was. I was like, you are way too distracted from a story that's being very quietly told, and like if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't focus on what's being told, you're not going to enjoy it nearly as much. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah. Any other thoughts on First Man? It stars Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. Clare Floyd plays his wife. There's a few other people. There's this one actor that's in this. This guy is in everything now. He's one of those. You see him all the time. I never know his name.
We're not talking about Ken.
Not Ken. No. Oh, look at that mark on it. I'll get a. What is this dude? Not Kyle Chandler. He's in it too. Why is he on the bottom of the list? He's in every freaking thing. I can't find him now. Anyway, I had just been like watching something else he was also in. And I'm like, I gotta find this dude's name out. He's showing up in everything now. But anyway, it's interesting to have other people in it. Patrick Fugit, who was when he was a teenager, his cast in his first role was what is that movie by now I'm like drawing a blank. Oh shoot, he played the journalist, the teenage journalist from Rolling Stone, and went on tour with Almost Famous. And I was kind of like, that guy looks familiar. It's like, oh, he was a kid. I don't think I've seen him too much or recognize him in too much else in this. He's in this. There's a lot of it. Lucas Haas was another child actor at one time. He started off like as a teenager. It was kind of surprising to see him.
That actor who was Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, yeah, Corey Stoll. Yeah, I've seen him in a lot of stuff, too. He's another guy. He usually plays some sleazy jerk all the time.
Yeah, well, he was in Ant-Man.
Was he? Oh, this guy, Shea Whigham. This dude is in everything. You don't recognize him. I see him in everything now. It's like Shea Whigham.
I've seen him in different things.
Yeah.
He's hardly recognizable.
Well, really? Well, he's always like great. He plays in great roles. He's like exactly what.
After a while, you're going.
Particularly like certain eras.
I've seen him before, and then you
you see him all the time. Yeah,
he was in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so First Man, it's streaming. You got the microphone in your face. It's streaming on something. I bought it. I just straight up bought it because I can see myself watching this a few times. I've watched it about 3 or 4 times since then, and yeah, I just thought this was a really good movie. I like Damien Chazelle as a filmmaker. I loved Whiplash. He did La La Land, and I kind of think it's a good idea. I'm glad they had the whole Oscar kerfuffle where they, Best Picture. And they announced it was La La Land, and somebody came up with, no, it's not. It's this other movie, which is Moonlight, which is another movie I loved. And I thought, I would have given it to Moonlight too. But I'm kind of glad because it's keeping him under the radar instead of blowing him up big. And then, he's still making really good films without kind of buying into his own hype. I still want to see this last movie, which is Babylon, which got kind of people were like, oh no, it's terrible, but then a few weeks later we're like, wait a minute, this is a classic, so I wanted to check that. Anyway, so he's a filmmaker I really like, and I'm glad I did finally get to see this. Thumbs up for me, and maybe I just like NASA movies. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's a thumbs up for me. I would say it will be entertaining if all you want to do is sit down and see what really happened.
Yeah. If you want something that gives you the sense of what space flight was like in its early days, I think this kind of really gives you a feel for that. About the closest you can get, watching it on a movie screen. I think. It's like no other movie is kind of giving me that visceral experience, holy shit.
Well, the one thing that I knew is that when they were getting ready to land on the moon, that they were very close to running out of fuel. Yeah. And they needed some fuel to get back. Yeah. And I was sitting in this chair, actually haven't seen the whole thing live on TV.
On TV. You were watching it when they landed on the moon.
When I was a kid.
I was like 1. And I had no idea what was going on.
I was gripping the chair going, you got to get over that crater. Okay. And the fuel. Oh, you got to save fuel.
Yeah.
So
even though you know what's you know what happens.
Yeah. And I was gripping it. I was in the ship. Yeah. You're
in the ship several times in this movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what is the name of this movie? First Man, Ryan Gosling, who's Ken.
Yes.
Completely different from Ken in this movie. But check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we are out.
We are out.
Like Apollo 11.
Creed.
Apollo Creed.